Day 6 of our La Liga binge on beIN. We'll get you all caught up with the start of match day 29 on Monday. Wild finishes in both Levante, Sevilla, and especially Betis against Granada. Every day is a weekend when it comes to Spanish football now. 3 games on the docket today. Ray Hudson joins me. We'll dive into all 3, including Barcelona's first game at an empty Camp Nou as they welcome Leganés. And Timo Werner pretty much has no time for RB Leipzig's Champions League hopes. We'll tell you about his plans to bail before the tournament restarts. Plus, as always, send in your comments, your questions via the Facebook chat. Sports First starts right now. Good morning, good afternoon, welcome into Sports Burst. I'm Andres Cordero, and every day is a Saturday when it comes to Spanish football now. Just tell your boss La Liga is on, I'm sure that they will understand. Here's a look at what's coming up today on beIN Sports Extra. 2 games from La Liga. Smart Bank, the Segunda. Second place Zaragoza travel to Lugo. That match at 1:20 p.m. Eastern, 10:20 a.m. Pacific. After that, promotion hopefuls Girona taking on Racing Santander. A reminder that beIN Extra is completely free. You can sign up via Roku, Samsung TV, Pluto TV, and Zumo. No contracts, no fees. You can learn more at beinsportsextra.com. Meanwhile, on beIN Sports in English, Villarreal take on relegation-threatened Mallorca. At the same time, beIN Sports Spanish will carry Getafe against Espanyol, and both the English and Spanish channels will feature Barcelona's first game back at the Camp Nou as they welcome Javier Aguirre's Leganés to the Catalan capital. Well, joining me now, a man whose commentary is as electrifying as a hairdryer thrown into a bathtub. Mr. Ray Hudson, the most colorful man in color commentary. How are you, pal?
I'm not doing too bad, Andres. There's been a lot of disconnects in some of the situations that we've had to cover with me operating from home in the commentary, so that's been frustrating. But it's that way with everybody. The lads on the field, the people watching in the stadiums, the coaches are having all sorts of problems. Everybody's got problems these days, but the minuscule compared to some of the other bigger issues that are going on now. So let's all thank our lucky stars, eh?
Yeah, and let's, before we talk about today's games, let's sort of get caught up with match day 29, which actually kicked off yesterday. Let's begin with Levante against Sevilla, because match day 28, the restart, saw Sevilla with the stage all to itself, essentially trounce Betis, their city rivals, when all of their other Champions League contenders dropped points. Well, now Sevilla dropped points, 1-1 the final score there. Luke de Jong had scored a brilliant goal. Diego Carlos' goal out of the back was brilliant, but Diego Carlos himself scored the own goal in the 87th minute. That made it a 1-1 draw. Sevilla stay third, Levante in mid-table. They're 10 points clear of the bottom 3. No real danger at the moment for Levante. But I'm curious your thoughts on Sevilla following that match. It was there for the taking. They could have kept that pressure on their Champions League rivals. They may have opened the door.
There was a great shot on our wonderful coverage and beIN Sports of the game. There was a great shot of Lopetegui right towards the end, and he was walking alone by himself. He's probably never felt so alone and disconnected from the game, his fans, his team, and he was just shaking his head. And actually, I'm not kidding you, Andres, either. I actually replayed it live. This wasn't like replaying a goal. It was that I wanted to see that because I've been there myself with the teams that I've coached, where you think there is no answer to that. I mean, Sevilla was so in control in that first half and played so well in so many ways. Hey, Levante threw down some gauntlets, no question, but Sevilla should have won this game. And you know, they're battling so hard for this Champions League place. They're in prime position above the others, behind the big 2, but they let it slip away. And I tell you what, Andres, we're going to see more of it. There was more games that we'll talk about in a while that you think this team's, they've got it in control now. They've got the game in hand. Yeah. And it's like an eel covered in Vaseline, it slips out of their grasp. Yeah. And I felt a little sorry for Lopetegui and Sevilla, but credit to Levante for pulling out the points.
And he looked after that game probably about as downtrodden as we've seen him all season with Sevilla. He put it all on himself. He said, I made the substitutions didn't work, so ultimately I'm responsible. He didn't seem to have an explanation, and to be fair to him, I don't think there was an explanation, which is what you're alluding to, because it's a free goal on the equalizer, right? The cross takes a slight deflection, that unsettles Vaclik, he hits it off of his defender, it goes into the back of the net.
Yep.
no answer for it.
I know, it took more twists and turns than, snakes and ladders game. It was amazing. Got to be heartbreaking for Sevilla. Yeah. But, they're still unbeaten in 6, so they're still looking good. But this Levante team, let's not forget, this is a team that beat Real Madrid and drew with Valencia and Sevilla not so long ago. So they're a tough nut to crack, and so it proved.
Yeah, and worth noting that they were without Roger Martí, who was serving a suspension. He is their top goal scorer, suspended after being sent off against Valencia in the Valencian derby previously. But yeah, Levante looked like a real serious threat to anybody in La Liga. Betis, meanwhile, they were on the losing end of that Seville derby on match day 28. They played a second consecutive derby, this one an Andalusian derby against Granada, a Granada side that were also looking to remain unbeaten in 6 straight games. Ray, I think for me, Carlos Fernandez might be the best player no one talks about in La Liga. Young striker, still only 24 years old. He has made huge strides this season, scored his 7th goal in this one. It put Granada ahead a 1-0. It stayed that way until the 85th minute, and this was an absolutely bonkers finish because with 5 minutes to go, Jesus Vallejo commits a penalty. Sergio Canales ties it up for Betis. 3 minutes later, Betis think they have the winner. Christian Tello, a shot from a long way out that just bypasses everyone and finds the back of the net. And 3 minutes after that, Roberto Soldado, unmarked, hits a stoppage time equalizer. 2-2 the final score. Was that a fair result?
Yeah, it probably was. I mean, who the hell knows what's fair? Who knows what's right anymore? But when Soldado scored, I didn't have an interest in the game. I didn't have any particular, I wasn't rooting for either team. But when Soldado scored, I was doing the Barry White disco move myself. It just seemed to be right. Something just seemed to be. And when they were 2-1 down, I didn't think they were going to come back because, it's so difficult to get a handle on so much of this stuff that's going on in all of the leagues that we've been watching in Bundesliga as well. But in so many of the games, and I think more so on the beIN Sports games, I think the quality of our football coming out of Spain in these games up against the German sides, I honestly believe in without having a knock at Bundesliga at all, that the quality of football has been better. The movement, the even the approach to the game, it looks as if there is more intent in the tackling, in the physical part of the game, which is great. And there's been tight games. There's even Real Madrid when they were winning 3-0 there the other day. Let that window of opportunity open, and then, the other team steps through. So taking advantage of this bizarro world, some of these away teams, and it's great to see this tremendous comeback that we saw yesterday in the 2-2 tie. Some great football. But it's got to be heart-stopping for the fans.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Great entertainment.
I agree wholeheartedly. I was telling Gabby Amato yesterday on one of our shows that I thought players would show up a bit more rusty, and it looked as though Toni Kroos was cryogenically frozen for the entire pandemic and just defrosted right before kickoff, didn't miss a beat. Let's get to some of the comments here from some of the regulars who are always chiming in the Facebook chat. Jiben Kurama, the best game for this week is Real Madrid-Valencia, no question. Bavon Gray, hello, Barca at home for the W, so we'll get ahead to that in just a moment. And Ryan Moran also writing in, it just goes to show that any team in La Liga can play well and still drop points. 10 games to go, anything can happen. Wow, that's football for you, Ryan.
Yeah.
As mentioned, 3 more games today.
And the Atletico Madrid game as well, Andres, that was another one that you thought it could have went either way. But there's the commitment for me,
Ray, we'll get there.
The way these players are primed in all of the teams. We've got the English League kicking off soon as well. But there's no compass here. There's no roadmap for these coaches and these players to take any sort of guidance from. And during a game as well, the substitutions has thrown another, monkey into the wrench, as I like to say. It's the continual changes have an effect on these teams. And the coaches usually can make that sort of change in the substitution line with a lot more, I would say, dependability. Right now, they're doing it for various reasons, to save the players' legs, to mix and rotate, which is all well and good. But for me, you're just not getting that same sort of regular reaction that you would imagine happens in a tactical change. It's all the balls are in the air, man.
It was interesting to me that Mallorca only made 3 changes in the game against Barcelona, but we'll get to that in a moment. We will want to talk about Barcelona because Barça-Leganés, our main event today, it's Barcelona's first game at the Camp Nou in more than 100 days, in fact, 101 days. They're unbeaten at home this season, 13 wins, 1 draw. It was a scoreless draw in the Clásico against Real Madrid. They're without Jordi Alba today. He's out through suspension. Luis Suarez likely to start on the bench again, meaning we expect to see Martin Braithwaite against his former club, Leganés. What do you make of Braithwaite's impact on Barcelona right now?
Well, I think anybody that listens to me and has a good memory remembers that when he was signed, in face of a lot of cynicism from people, and even the Barcelona fans were very sceptical about this signing. And he was dismissed, and I thought he got treated pretty shoddily. And wasn't given the regard. Now, we know Martin isn't the bee's knees. You know, he's been a good, solid, athletic player, and he's a very decent footballer. And I've always enjoyed I remember the first time when he played in La Liga, and it's Braithwaite. And you know, for him just the name in itself casts some aspersions about him wrongly. But he's looked as if he's going to offer Barcelona a surprising nice present. He's not Suarez. He never will be. And yet he brings a different mentality, a different attitude, and he's not like it's a Arturo Vidal type of attitude. He's just, and everything you read from Martin Braithwaite, it's all good stuff. You know, he's been accepted into this team with a lot of bonhomie, that this is a good man. And not just a good man, he brings something to the game. And I think his attitude and his real desire to pay back this opportunity that he cannot believe. I mean, this is like getting 20 Christmas presents all rolled into one for a player like Martin Braithwaite, a journeyman, if you like.
I remember listening.
A man that's been given an opportunity, and he is sinking his fangs into it and drawing blood as best he can. He should keep his place in this Barcelona game. And it's not just because he's playing against his old club, Andres. He did enough in that first game to warrant selection. You know, he should not be dropped. And I'll be disappointed in Setien if he brings Suarez back this time. There's bigger fish to fry for Barcelona coming up, some tougher opponents than this one. And I think Martin deserves the opportunity, and I hope he keeps him in the lineup.
Yeah, worth noting, Leganés tied with Espanyol at the bottom of the table, so you can't afford to wait with Luis Suarez. I remember listening to an interview with Martin Braithwaite earlier this season, where he was talking about his dream of playing for one of the bigger clubs like a Barcelona. I don't think he could have expected that dream would come within that same season. And in that same interview, one of the things that stood out to me is he talked about when he first came into La Liga. He's a player who was at Toulouse and at Middlesbrough, who said that he was surprised by how easily players went down, by the lack of physicality, and how he was having fouls called against him for being too aggressive against the defenders. Another player we expect back today, Clement Lenglet, is back from suspension.
Andres, before I move on,
go ahead.
I would like to say as well, because I didn't get the opportunity to because of the disruption in the transmission, to give Martin Braithwaite credit enough for his goal, the way he took it. Now, people can just discount it and say it was an easy goal. I've seen them missed as many times as I've seen them finished. He was cool, he was composed, and he was very clinical when the opportunity came to him. And I thought that one went under the way. It wasn't just rudimentary finishing for me. And I think those opportunities as a forward, that'll feed him. You know, when he had an opportunity that he should have put away, could have put away, and he did. How many times have we seen Suarez miss them? I'm just saying, it's happened. So I'm a fan of Braithwaite. What can I tell you? He's not my type of footballer, but I'm a fan of the man, and I'm living with him his dream of playing for Barcelona, where, you know, the odds were massively against him.
He can play any one of the front three positions as well, so that's going to work heavily in his favor. As I said, we expect Clement Lenglet to come back in this game. He's back from suspension. Should partner Gerard Piqué in central defense. But there's been a lot of talk about the performance of Ronald Araujo against Mallorca. Ray, you were on that game. What did you make of the young Uruguayan? It was his full debut. He'd previously featured back in October, but was sent off after a quarter of an hour for a foul on Chicharito in the game against Sevilla. What did you make of his performance?
Improved, composed, mature. I think he was well marshalled by Piqué. And Ter Stegen, you could see Ter Stegen barking at the kid regularly. But I thought you couldn't have asked for much more. There was one or two very little rough edges around him, but he handled the occasion right. He looked astute on the ball, very, very composed. Wasn't the next coming of Maldini or anything like that. But for the youngster, it was a great, great little bow again, and a lovely cameo performance, and played his part. I'd give him a solid 8 out of 10, in all honesty. I don't think there was much wrong about his performance at all. Yeah,
I like the fact that he got a run out with the full Barcelona team. So often when we've seen La Masia kids get an opportunity, like a Ricky Puig, for example, it's where they dramatically changed Barca's side against, you know, a third-tier opponent in a Copa del Rey. I think that shows that there is still quality within that youth system, and if you give them a chance to play with Piqué and Ter Stegen, players who can make up for some of their deficiencies, they look quite good as opposed to playing with Segunda B quality alongside. As we look ahead to this match, a record to keep an eye out for. Lionel Messi just 2 goals shy of reaching the 700 mark for club and country. Could happen today if he gets a brace against Leganés at the Camp Nou. Join us, coverage beginning at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 on the Pacific. Barcelona, the league leaders, against Leganés. And looking ahead to Barca Atletico June 26, just want to update you on this. Any fans who want to symbolically attend that match, you can actually buy a jersey with your name on it. It'll be positioned over one of the seats in the first-tier stand at the Camp Nou. It's an initiative by the Barca Foundation. The club would donate part of the proceeds to fight COVID-19. After the match, the shirt obviously will be washed, disinfected, and then shipped to you. Today's 2 other games kicking off simultaneously a little bit over an hour from now. Let's start with Getafe against Espanyol. Ray, Getafe coming off a loss in Granada. They've won only 1 of the last 5, but still only 1 point outside of the top 4. Espanyol dead last, but they just beat Alaves 2-0. Wule scored the second one in that. They're only 3 points from safety. Are Getafe sliding and slipping and sliding here, or do you still buy into Getafe competing for top 4?
Yeah, I think, I called it before this rejuvenated season began, that I think Getafe would probably slip away. They have been the little engine that could, and we've liked the run, a sawdust on the floor type of team. There's nothing, they're well drilled, well coached. They've taken the opportunity together. They don't have any great standout players, but they have earned this right. It is starting to slip away, but there again, Andres, Atletico Madrid letting it slip away, Sevilla letting it slip away, Valencia, we'll see how they do in their Open Cup games. They're still in the hunt and can believe, but all in all, Sociedad, of course, they look as if they're starting to be found out a little bit. But Espanyol needed that result big time. That'll be a sad day, I think, in La Liga football to see Espanyol take the drop as well. But I feel the same way about Stevie Nash's team in Mallorca. Yeah. So you don't want to see anybody go down in this sort of season. But hey, it's been 11 finals and it continues. We've got a great race at the top. We've got a great race at the bottom. We've got a great race for that 3rd position in the Champions League. Yep. So basically, and I'm not bumming it up here. We've seen these games take twists and turns within 90 minutes that you could not have expected. Yeah, and it keeps on going.
Every one of the 20 teams has something to play for down these final 10 games to go in La Liga. A few more of your comments. This one from Brendan Fuego Welcome, who says, Dre, loving the dirty stash And Ray, we have missed you. Thanks for noticing, Brendan. Visam Tapo, Atletico will not qualify for the Champions League this year. That's a good question, actually. We'll get to that in a moment if we have time. Let's see here, Jackmael Calderon. I'm curious to see how he reacts if he scores against his former club in respects to Braithwaite, who will be playing against Leganés today. And Andres Pickle Timmins, that finish was so clean when normally a chance like that never is. Again, talking about Braithwaite, who we are expecting to see in the starting 11 today. At the same time as that Getafe match, Villarreal take on Mallorca. Villarreal got a stoppage-time winner for Manu Trigueros, one of my favorite midfielders in La Liga, to beat Celta in Balaidos. They're still in the conversation for a European spot. They're going up against Mallorca, who lost 4-0 to Barcelona. They're on the wrong side of the drop line, Mallorca, but only 1 point from safety. And right now, Ray, something you were just alluding to, it looks as though there are 5 teams in serious relegation danger. Leganés and Espanyol are on 23 points, Mallorca third bottom on 25, Celta 25, and Eibar 27. Pick 3 of those to go down, Ray.
Unreal. I mean, no. I'm saying this to you, Andres. No, I won't. Because I don't want any of those teams to go down. Least of all, Stevie Nash's Mallorca. That's a team I definitely want to stay up. But this is the worst team in La Liga on the road. They have the worst record. And this is a game that they're coming into against the Villarreal side, who I don't think they've lost to Mallorca since 2005. Some weird statistic like that. So it should favour Villarreal big time. But Andres, it's a hard pick, this situation, in order to see who takes the drop. And I don't want to see the Parakeets go down. I'm just being on a personal level. I don't even like thinking about it. So why'd you ask me this?
I don't know. We'll focus on the top instead, then. It's a happier place. Here's a couple of reasons to watch this game today. For one, Villarreal are one of the most exciting teams in La Liga, one of the highest scoring as well. After Barcelona, Real Madrid, Real Sociedad, I think Villarreal are next in terms of goals scored. And they get goals from all sorts of places, whether it's Samu Chukwueze, whether it's Gerard Moreno, or Manu Trigueros hitting a late winner, as we saw. I still have no idea how Villarreal have managed to keep Manu Trigueros as long as they have, and a bigger club hasn't come in and snatched him away. Another reason to watch that game today?
Well said, Andres Cordero. Well said. Because that was the shirt when I went and visited with the La Liga experience to Spain. It was the Trigueros shirt that I wanted put on. They got me a beautiful shirt, Villarreal, and I wanted Trigueros' name on the back of it, but they put Ray Hudson on, which was very nice. But I've loved him as well. You've got a good eye for a footballer, my
Surprised there wasn't a Riquelme Villarreal shirt from the days with Manuel Pellegrini. The other reason to watch.
I've already got one of them.
Brilliant. Of course you do. The other reason to watch, we could see a record set in that match. Mallorca youth product Lucas Romero could become the youngest player ever in La Liga. He's only 15 years old. He'll be 16 in November, and he's in the matchday squad for today's trip. Embarrassingly, he's been nicknamed the Mexican Lionel Messi. He was born in Mexico. He plays for Argentina's under 15s. I'm not buying the blank Lionel Messi anything, but he is a quality young playmaker who we could see debut today as the youngest player ever in La Liga. His father is a pro footballer, Gerard Moreno, and he said, stop it with the nonsense of the Mexican Lionel Messi, but we do hope to get a chance to see him. I want to move along here because we have just a couple of minutes, Ray. Looking ahead to Wednesday, Atletico Madrid and Athletic Club both play their Week 29 games tomorrow. Those two just played to a 1-1 draw on Sunday. Now, Athletic will make the short trip to mighty Eibar, but I want to focus on Atletico. They head to Pamplona to go up against Osasuna. That draw in San Mamés, a new club record for Atletico, 13 draws in a single season, and they still have 10 games to play. That includes Barcelona and Getafe and Real Sociedad. I don't think they can afford to look past Osasuna, but are Simeone's men in trouble, Ray?
Yeah, I think they are. And I picked them to win the league after I saw them so phenomenal in New Jersey when they dismantled Real Madrid in that incredible, what was it, 7-2 game or something like that. But it was an amazing pre-season. So, you know, it was a false dawn. But they've allowed so many over the season points to slip away from them. This one was a situation where they got it back. So it it was a point gained. But yeah, hey, listen, Andres, they're still one of the favourites for me to win the Champions League. It's Bayern Munich, of course, and Manchester City who are favourites. But Atletico Madrid, man, the way they treated Liverpool over those two legs, winning fair and square, great. Their focus seems to have shifted. It certainly has. Quality team, and Simeone's got nothing but, I think, the Champions League on his mind by the looks of it.
Incredibly, Atletico's only away win in 2020 was at Liverpool, at Anfield. And just very quickly, Germany striker Timo Werner set to join Chelsea this summer. Sky Sports Germany is reporting that Werner is going to make the move to Chelsea in mid-July, which is interesting because his current club, RB Leipzig, are in the Champions League quarterfinals. That's not expected to get underway until August. How do you feel about Timo Werner abandoning ship in a Champions League quarterfinal? Just 10 seconds here.
I think it's awful. He's a traitor and to his teammates and to his club, and I think it's a disgrace. And he needs to have better character than that. He should have supported his teammates and said, I'm with you on the long haul, because tomorrow can wait. He should have committed himself.